Welcome to the Living in Tacoma channel with me, your host Phil Walsh, Homeowner Solutions and Skyline Properties Inc., right here in Tacoma, Washington. If you guys are new to the channel and want to know everything about working, eating, sleeping, playing, and best and worst places to live, great stuff to do and places to go with your family, then you got to start right now. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, and ding that bell so you don't miss out on any real estate do's and don'ts. Great free advice and information about the cities that you guys are planning on relocating to. Best thing is, my real estate services for you are free. I'm a free for you buyers. We get asked so many questions from folks just like you who are relocating to the Puget Northwest and this beautiful state that is Washington. There is a reason we do this work, and there's a reason we set up this channel. It's because these questions weren't getting answered before, or they weren't getting properly answered before. We love what we do to make your move easier and less stressful when relocating, okay? And if we were moving here in the next couple of months, I'd like boots and ears on the ground with local knowledge getting my questions answered. That's the reason that we're here to help and assist, okay? We've got your back when you guys are relocating. Now, just briefly, before we dive into the cost of living in Tacoma, feel free to call me, text me, email me, or let's just simply jump on a Zoom or FaceTime call if you're thinking of relocating. Or if you just got some general questions about living in Tacoma, Puyallup, Lacey, Tumwater, Olympia, or Seattle, and any of the surrounding areas that I sell and buy real estate in. Or if you're military and relocating to work out of Joint Base Lewis McChord, or JBLM as it's known locally, my father's in the British Forces, so I understand about relocating every few years, okay? And trust me, there's no question is too daft and probably been asked and answered already. So you guys get in touch. That's what we're here for, to help you guys out and answer your questions, okay? Now, Tacoma is 45 minutes to an hour south of Seattle. It's our second largest city here in Washington, 30 to 40 minutes south of SeaTac International Airport, and roughly 45 minutes of our state's capital, Olympia. Population around 225,000, medium home prices of 440,000. So you definitely get a lot more bang for your buck compared to Seattle's medium home prices of around $775,000, okay? You can get a starter or entry-level home, you're looking around that $400,000 price point. And just FYI, from start to close of the transaction, you're looking at around 30 days in escrow. Now, if the home is vacant and you guys are a cash buyer, then we can close that bad boy in around about 2 weeks, okay? So here we go, cost of living in Tacoma. What does it cost to live in Tacoma? How's the housing market? And more importantly, can you afford it? Now, this is not an in-depth guide which will bore you to tears, but I will cover about the cost of living in Tacoma, average expenses, and the real estate market, okay? So bear with me. Now, obviously, figuring out the cost of living in Tacoma depends on your location within the city limits, lifestyle choices, and the number of family members living in your household. Living in Tacoma is less expensive than Seattle. We have a much more affordable housing market than Washington State's biggest city, and it's not as condensed, which obviously, depending on location and price, gives you a larger home and lot size. But the Tacoma living cost is around 9% higher than the national average, but compared to Seattle's, lower than their 31%. Main reasons for the higher expenses are for things like groceries, housing, local transportation, and healthcare. Consumer expenditures in Tacoma are no more than 1 or 2% different than averages across the US, okay? Now, Washington State is ranked 39th out of 50 states for the cost of living, and our minimum wage is around $14.50 per hour, one of the highest in the nation, with a federal level of around $7.25 per hour. As regards groceries, we've got the usual stores, we've got Fred Meyer's, we've got Safeways, Albertsons, Trader Joe's, Costco's, etc., and your local corner shops. Now, before relocating, it's always great to get a general idea of what you can expect to pay for your everyday expenses popping out to the local bars and restaurants, etc., etc. Gas is currently around $4.30 a gallon, with gas tax at 49 cents per gallon, which is the 8th highest in the nation as of April 2023. This is a huge factor if you are relocating to Tacoma and have the pleasure of commuting up to the Seattle area. Not traffic isn't the great. Trust me on this one. That and the time spent commuting should play a huge part in your decision of location, so that we can dial in on the best neighborhoods and ideal family home that best suits you and your family. We need to get to understand your wants and needs so we can best serve you guys. I need to get to know your needs and wants. It's our job to understand who you guys are, what it is you and your family are looking for, if possible with all the bells and whistles, so we're all on the same page, and then we set you up on an auto email search and we go house hunting. More about the email search later. Now, on average over the past 12 months, and we're currently in May of April 2023, food prices have increased 11.3% and energy round about that 5.7% mark. So just FYI, and as regards my personal bills, and just for some sort of context, we live in a 2,200 square foot 4-bed Rambler built in the 1930s, so bear that in mind. It's not the greatest insulation as a modern day home. Now, our electric bill averages around $270 a month. Garbage and either yard waste or recycling comes in around $80 per 2 months, and our water bill around $70 for 2 months, okay? So again, that just gives you a general idea compared to your current living situation. We have a milder climate here in Washington State with not super hot summers nor super cold winters, which obviously plays a factor with our electric bills, alrighty? Now, the average cost of a family home in the US, and don't hold my feet to the fire here, is roughly around $350,000. As mentioned earlier, we're averaging around $440,000 and above. Now, as in any market, depending on location and the property criteria, this can and will vary, with some great deals out there still around that $400,000 mark, okay? I think that one of the factors for our above national average is the fact that we have some major players in the job market up here. For example, we've got Amazon, we've got Microsoft, Deloitte, we have Starbucks, we have Google, we have Accenture, we have Oracle, we have Meta. And of course, as mentioned, we've got JBLM, or Joint Base Lewis McChord, our huge Army Air Force base that's located right in our midst between Tacoma and Olympia, okay? Now, JBLM, in fact, has a population of approximately 110,000 active duty, 60,000 family members, and around 15,000 civilian contract employees. So you can see the reason why not only military personnel who are relocated every year here to the west coast of Washington State, but there are some major employers that reside here too, all adding to the median home prices with their influx of employees. Adding to the equation is if the average US salary is around $55,000, we here in Tacoma are up around the $75,000 mark, all right? I mean, it all adds up, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that out, okay? Now, at this point, I could dive into mortgage rates, down payments, etc., which will all factor into the cost of relocating to Tacoma. But I won't, and here's the reason why. I'm not going to bore you with statistics, and this will be different on everyone's personal situation, okay? That's what my preferred loan officer and partner in crime, Addie Net, will step in, and he'll explain everything from A to Z. Okay. Now, if you've watched some of our out and about tours in the car and the drones, and when me and Addie are going out together, you'll be familiar with Addie. He's a top-notch fellow and is at the top of his game that can assuage any concerns on the financial side of the transaction, and he'll be able to answer all your questions and be a resource for you and your family when you're relocating. Now, if you have your own lender, that's no worries. More than happy if you're comfortable with said lender. But caveat, that being said, in this relocation and home purchase, which is going to be huge, I like to already have a relationship with the loan officer. Know the fact that if I need to call him on a weekend and need, for example, an updated pre-approval letter, he's going to answer my call at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night. And that's why, again, we started this channel, to answer your questions, because we have that relationship. So give us a call, shoot us a text or email, or better still, let's jump on a Zoom or FaceTime video call, okay? Another factor which is important concerning myself and other listing agents, is if the loan officer is licensed in Washington State and the buyer's agent already has a relationship with them, this makes for an easier and smoother transaction with familiarity amongst all the major players, okay? Just through a personal relationship with a local real estate agent and a local loan officer, I've saved deals, okay? There's nothing worse than somebody who doesn't pick up the phone when you need them to. We've got your back if you are relocating to Tacoma. That's why we're here for you, okay? Let's quickly talk about property taxes in Tacoma. Because of the higher median property values, you're looking at roughly just over $4,000 annually. Now, this will obviously vary from home to home, but it just gives you that general idea up here of the property taxes. And we have a slightly higher rate than the state of Washington and the national average. Tacoma property tax is 1.21%. Washington property tax is 1.03%, with the national property tax rate at 1.081%. Also here in Washington, as one of the 7 states that doesn't have a personal income tax, You won't see that on your pesky pay stubs, alrighty? Now, although Washington State doesn't have a state income tax, we do have a higher than average sales tax that ranks 4th out of the 50 states. The Tacoma sales tax is around 10.2%. This does include, though, Washington sales tax, Pierce County, and the Tacoma tax, okay? Don't fall asleep, just to break it down. Washington sales tax is 6.5%, Pierce County sales tax is 2.8%, and the Tacoma sales tax rate at 0.9%. So looking at groceries, as we already know across the US, I mentioned earlier, food prices have increased 11.3% on average. Steaks in your local supermarkets, for example, are coming in around $18 per pound. You can probably add half again to that in the local butcher shops. Chicken breast fillets, they're in around $5.99 per pound. Milk is averaging about $3.69 a gallon. Eggs are $3.69 for an 18 count. And a loaf of bread ranges from $3 to $5, depending on what your preference. Now, if you have a local store reward card, these prices will be cheaper as per usual. Now, Washington is getting drunk on coffee, so to speak, so if that's your tipple and need that fixed a couple of times a day, look at spending, including tip, between $8 to $10 per cup. Call Addy, he'll set you up with a second mortgage. Wink, wink. Now, before I shoot off, if you haven't watched my videos before, don't leave without this golden nugget of information. As a real estate broker, I can set you up on an auto email search within our Northwest MLS. We'll punch in your exact search criteria and preferred locations. You'll receive an initial email welcoming you to the portal with a current up-to-date list of homes that are available. Best thing about this search is that if a home matching your criteria comes on the market, the minute that home gets listed, you'll automatically receive it in your inbox. Multiple emails can be used, okay? Our Northwest MLS runs an up-to-the-date search for you, continually uploading new homes when they become available. And more importantly, if they go into contract and the listing agent's on the ball, the minute they go into contract, the house comes off the available list, right? Even if you're not relocating here for 3 to 6 months, new listings will automatically be emailed across the minute they go live. Our Northwest MLS, it runs the search for you, and you don't have to continually troll through Zillow, Realtor.com, etc., etc. I think that's kind of cool, and it's a great tool. So finally, moving here can be difficult, and that's the reason we set up this channel, because questions, they weren't getting answered. We've got our ears to the ground. We've covered Western Washington, right down from Vancouver up to Maple Falls. So give us a call, shoot us a text or an email, or let's jump on that Zoom or FaceTime call. We've got you covered, and we've got your back if you're moving. Find an agent you want to work with, and the rest will take care of itself, okay? Until next time, guys.